G'day, welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at a hydraulic press and what it can do for you. A hydraulic press is one of those tools that kind of sits in the workshop, doesn't get used very often, but when you need it, it makes a big difference. Now, for the most part, pretty much anything you can do with a press, you can also do with a hammer. The only downside to the hammer is it hurts your body, it's hard work, you have a lot less control, and it gets pretty miserable if you've got a lot of work to do. So you've seen me do control arm bushes. This is a control arm off the Audi 80. You've seen me do the control arm bushes with this and a screwdriver. Yeah, you can do it. I'm still paying the price for that. My shoulder's still not quite right from doing that a year and a half ago. Now, if you didn't want to do it with a hammer, you didn't have a press, you could take this down to your local workshop, get them to do it. I've done that in the past with previous Audi 80, 90 platform things, so I've paid $90 to have these two bushes pushed out and new ones pushed in. So 90 bucks a go, there's 8 on a Quattro, that gets pretty expensive pretty soon. So why not take control, get the right tool to do the job, do it yourself. So as I said before, the press essentially replaces the hammer in the hillbilly workshop. You get most things done with a hammer that you'd otherwise use a press for, and vice versa, but the press is just so much nicer. And if you're paying a mechanic or a workshop to press in your bushes, you're going to save money in the long run. So this is the press I've got. It's from Supercheap Auto. They gave it to me to use in the videos. I've already used it to push in the valve guides on the Morris Minor. Did a great job there. In return for them supplying it to me, I make reviews on their tools. Now obviously it's quite hard, if someone gives you a tool, it's quite hard to make an objective, honest review, but how I like to do that is I show you the tool working. So it's not me telling you it's the best press ever, it's me showing you what it can do and you make your own mind up from there. In terms of workshop presses, I've had a couple in the past. They've all been a lot bigger than this one. This is quite a compact little unit. The ones I've had before have all been floor standing. They've been top grade Chinese quality. They've been a bit higher rated, generally about a 12-ton press. This one's only a 6-ton press, but there's pluses and minuses for both. In terms of the floor standing press, they take up a lot of room, and as we said, we don't use a press very often, so why kind of fill up your garage with a tool you hardly ever use? You just end up storing other stuff on top of it. This one from Supercheap Auto, rated at 6 tons. You can put it on the bench, takes up a lot less space, and for your average kind of home mechanic who's working on cars, small utes, 4-wheel drives, this will do the job, and we'll prove that in a minute. So yeah, this is our press. They're all fairly similar in terms of presses at this kind of end of the market. They've generally got a steel frame, H-frame. They've got a jack and a bar, and it presses down. When you pump up the jack and you release it, the springs kind of return it to centre. Down the bottom here you've got your working area. This press here comes with 2 kind of big metal blocks to help set up your piece of work. It's height adjustable. So you can have this base at 3 different heights depending on what you're working on. Yeah, it's a compact, handy little unit. So most presses typically come this kind of setup. You have this metal bar that protrudes, and as you operate the jack, this comes down and presses it on whatever you're working on. For the most part, you've got this little round bit, and you've got to then try and find a correct size drift, often a socket or similar, that fits the bush or whatever you're trying to press out. And that's great as long as you've got a good set of sockets, good bit of old bearings, offcuts of metal, that kind of stuff. That's pretty, you can get by. As an option for the Supercheap kit, they also sell this press accessory kit. Now this is, I really like this. This is quite a big improvement on just getting a straight press. So what this comes with is you get this kind of collar, and you get a series of these drifts that are held on the collar here, and the collar fits quite nicely on the press. So you're starting off with a much better kind of setup really. So you've got these range of punches that all just clip in, giving you much more control and a much better setup for actually working safely and getting the job done nice and easily. So you get 2, 4, 5 different ones, and the accessory kit also comes with 2 more metal blocks. So the biggest issue I've often found in the past using a press is actually getting something set up to do the job. Yeah, you kind of need a selection of bits of metal and sockets and old bits of metal and spacers and all sorts just to get it all lined up so you're actually pushing something straight, because a lot of these things aren't that kind of straightforward. This one, these are a bit of a mission on a press because of how they're set up here. You've kind of got to work like that or chop the top off and press them out a different way. So using a press takes a little bit of kind of sideways thinking sometimes to get the job done, but it's a whole lot easier than trying to hit it with a hammer. So the neighbour's Nissan Safari failed its warranty fitness on suspension bushes, so he came and asked me if I'd give him a hand to swap out the new ones, and of course, yeah, we'll give him a hand. Now, his car is 1988 Nissan Safari. It spent the first few years of its life in Japan up in the mountains. It came to New Zealand, had a little bit of rust on it then. It spent its life in rivers, by the sea, working hard. It's never been touched until now. So pretty much this was the ultimate test for this little press. I can't imagine doing anything harder, anything bigger, working on anything more substantial than this old Safari. It was going to be a really good test of this press, and we'll show you how that went. Here are the bushes out of the smaller bushes out of the Safari. As you can see, there's a fair bit of metal to these. There's a little bit of corrosion here, there and wherever. Yeah, these took some shifting to get them going. You can see the issue here. Our centre part of these bushes is all kind of crapped out. They're no longer as bushy as they once were. So yeah, our setup to get these out. 36mm socket fits perfectly. It's slightly narrower than the bush, so it's not going to get stuck in the hole. That worked really well. When it comes to pushing them back in, had this with a hole in. Again, that was perfect. We could push them through flush, and kind of went to plan. Yeah, so we'll show you a few clips of that happening. Also show you one clip of where it really didn't quite go to plan, and that was mostly down to my kind of setup and planning and those kind of things. Also show you, here's our 2 metal blocks. We'll see if you can see. You see that kind of mark on the block there. That's how much force we ended up putting on those bushes to get them out. We've actually kind of left a dent on our metal support, so they were pretty well stuck there. But again, we've got quite a narrow housing for the bushes, so you can only really kind of rest a little, just the outer edge of the control arm. Is that what they were? Control arm on these bits, and have the space to push them through there. So yeah, let's show you some action. Safety squints engaged.
I'll just check down here that it's actually. Oh, might need to go a little too that way.
Quick before we have contact.
Oh, I'd say not too bad there. I might stand behind you. The way that it sockets.
Oh yeah, we're off.
Oh yeah? Oh, shit. Holy Toledo. It does not want to come out.
I think we're using all 6 ton.
Is it the rubber coming out and not the steel?
No, I think it's got to be the steel because it's.
Oh,
your sockets and gauge them.
Shit, it's impressive. Military strength push. Wow.
Oh, it's a boy. Alright, that's a big bush.
Bloody military
to the bishop.
are huge.
Yeah, wind it up.
Just make sure it is
It took a fair bit, it took close to
the max.
You had to load it up a fair bit to get it started. On a bit of a lean. You're kind of maxing it out, eh? As you just saw, you've got to be careful. Work smart when you're working with a press. You've got 6 tons pressing down. You've got big chunks of metal that if they go off kilter, start going sideways on you, they can do a lot of damage. So certainly you've got to work safe. Make sure you got a face shield like this at least. Gloves are a good idea. Take some precautions. Do your risk assessment and try not to hurt yourself. The problem that we had just there was movement. The metal block, it kind of started to tilt because we could only put a little bit of the control arm on there, so it kind of started to lift and then the whole thing set loose. We combated that with a series of clamps. Clamped it all in place so nothing could move. We didn't have a problem after that, but yeah, please work safe, don't hurt yourself. If in doubt, take it to a mechanic. But yeah, if you work safe, you should be fine. Yeah, oh yeah, it's a 4 out of 4. The one that caused us a problem before. Not sure I'd have my head that close.
She's loaded up and that's it. If you don't want to go. Is it starting to move?
Yeah, we're going.
Jeepers creepers. Can nothing stop the Supercheap Auto press?
Oh, look at that. See? Just have to go a bit slower maybe just to...
Bonsai power.
It certainly is fighting that way.
Wow, wait.
There we go.
Phew.
Twins!
Hey, she's away.
Beautiful.
I'm ready to into this.
A little bit to go. That's us. It's real easy, eh?
It seems weird on that front knuckle. It doesn't seem to.
So that's that. Realistically, that's probably the toughest test this thing's ever likely to see in this workshop, or probably most home workshops. People aren't going to be working on stuff much bigger than that. We've got 30 years of saltwater, mountains, rivers on that Nissan Safari. We managed to push these out with a fair bit of effort, to be honest. I think we took pretty much every pound of those 6 tons to get these shifting, and some of them fought us the whole way out. New ones that went in a lot easier. But yeah, we got it done really quickly. Didn't have to take it anywhere else. No one got hurt. Yeah, work safe. You can get the job done with this. It's a great press. Really like that it is a compact kind of form factor. If you look at the reviews on the Supercheap website, a lot of people say, oh, it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be. I don't think that matters. I think it's a lot better that it's a small compact size. You can fit it under a bench, you can hide it away when you don't need it, and it's not a tool you use that often. It's just really handy to have. Well, it's kind of once or twice a year where you do need to do something bushwise, and it works really well. So thanks to Supercheap, this thing's awesome. Accessory kit also awesome. You'll still need your selection of bits of metal and stuff to get bushes in and out, but yeah, it's a great starter. Remember, work safe, don't forget your safety gear, and enjoy. So there we go. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one. Cheers.